Our guest today is Jillian Moreno, and you are a woman of crazy, wicked multitude of talents. Um, you know, you're writing and you're spinning and weaving and teaching. Um, Gosh, I keep remembering the I like big yarns and I cannot lie that class. Okay, that was a really fun class, and every time that I come across my yarn, I'm like, oh, Jillian.
I love teaching and I love making it fun because it's
Yeah.
children.
So this crazy time of COVID,
Yes.
lots of people reorging their lives and what they're working on. What are you doing right now that you might not have been doing had COVID not hit?
Um, I'm not doing a lot of sleeping. That's for one thing. I'm one of those people that is, this is making me anxious and I'm not sleeping. I'm also not doing a lot of crafting for myself. I know a lot of people are doing reorganizing their houses, knitting, a sweater every couple weeks and all of that. But I'm here to tell you it's okay if you're not doing that. I craft because, especially at the beginning, because I have deadlines and I have work, and that kept me going and going and going. And it felt really good. Now I've started doing a little more. I've started doing spinning for fun, and I'm doing a lot of embroidery, which I think is fun. But one thing that I'm doing that I wouldn't do otherwise is taking classes. Everyone is having classes online, and there are so many classes and people that I wanted to take classes with. Um, I took a class on bullet journaling from Felix of Knit Sonic, and it was just fantastic. So now I get to make, I love to make lists and I love pens. So
I know. I'm like, this is right up your alley.
yeah. So now I have an excuse to haul out all that stuff and maybe buy a little more washi tape. So I took a bullet journaling class, and that really set me back off on wanting to do a lot more creative things, and maybe not just spinning and knitting. I've always wanted to take tapestry class, and I've bought I think 3 of Rebecca Mezoff's tapestry classes,
Yeah.
and I'm finally going to do her I'm all set up to do her small looms class. I'm trying to get all of my ducks in a row for that class before her book comes out. Have you seen or heard about her tapestry weaving book? It is amazing. I got a peek at it, and if you want to learn tapestry, that is the only book you'll ever need. I mean, there hasn't been a start to finish tapestry book come out in a really long time.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
super excited about that. Um, this morning, I almost signed up for an embroidery class that's out of England, and I was really happy that I took the time to check the time, that it was British time, and I would have had to get up at 3 in the morning for a week to take this class. So I'm not taking that class.
Yeah.
And I'm also taking a class with Maggie Casey and a class with Judith McKenzie at Lambtown, and I never would be able to do that um, if I was still traveling. Though I
Yeah.
do really miss teaching and traveling and seeing everybody.
So another question on what you just said, you said that, when this hit and you're now in your house, you still had a lot of work to do. So why don't you talk about that? Talk about what you're doing work-wise.
Oh, I still work. I work for Knitty.com, online knitting magazine, which is fabulous and free and has been around, I think, now for 17 years. 17, maybe 18 years. And every single issue of Knitty is still free. It's all there on the website, knitty.com. So I have a spinning column there, and I work with Amy Singer to choose the patterns that we have, and I work with designers getting them yarn and doing all kinds of creative knitting things. And I also work for Ply Magazine with JC, and I do kind of the same thing. We choose the issue, and I work with designers and writers, and we just make sure that Ply happens and that it's exciting. I work with fly away with her too, and work on ply books. We've just recently published a book of tools by Stephanie Gaustad.
Oh, nice.
Really a cool little book. Yeah, she did all the illustrations and everything.
That's awesome. So on the topic of books,
Mhm.
you always seem to have a book in your head. I mean, ever since I've known you, there's something happening there.
Yeah.
So, are you working on a book right now, and or just ideas? What does that look like?
Yes, and yes. I should be working harder on my book that I want to do next, which is all about color and spinning, working with braids. The classes that I teach that people love to take. It was the natural follow-up to Yarnitecture, which people really like. That same sort of approach. That's fun, fun, less technical than some books, but really gets to the meat of it all. You know, you want to make this kind of yarn, you want your colors to behave this way, this is how you do it. Try to make it as fun and stress-free as possible. And I'd also like to do a little book on intuitive spinning, the type of spinning you do when you sit down at the wheel and say, I want to make a yarn for a sweater, and I don't really want to measure or sweat or measure much or sweat it, or I want to figure out what this fiber wants to be. That style of spinning. I teach a class on that right now, and people really, really like it. It's how I spin, and I just didn't realize that other people would be interested in spinning that way too. I thought I was a big weirdo.
Of course not. Well, or maybe. I mean,
Yes, oh,
um,
a lot of us.
so on the still, I can't get off the book thing because you're always so.
Yeah.
It just feels like you have this surplus of energy all the time. You might not feel that way, but every time that I talk to you, I always think of the next thing that I want to do too. And I think you inspire that in all the people that you teach. So I thank you. Has
Thank
there
you.
ever been a book that was so crazy that you didn't want to pitch it?
No, maybe. That would be hard. I'd like to write a book about yarn construction that spans people who spin and people who don't spin for a variety of fiber art.
Yep.
And I think that would be a really hard book to pitch. And I think might be better as a series of PDFs or small books or something like that.
Yeah.
Because of course, doing Rebecca's small looms class and thinking about tapestry, I want to hurry up and learn all the basics because then I want to spin yarn
Right.
and figure out ways to make it work, and also ways to make it different yet still work. You know, maybe you always hear that tapestry yarn needs to have a tight twist, but what happens if it doesn't? Maybe it creates an effect that you can use in a tapestry.
Right.
Rebecca's crying right now, though. I can hear it.
She just picked up some new yarn to try, and it's funny that you say that because it was a little bit lower twist, so we'll see what she has to say about that.
I'm thinking of spinning some silk for doing some embroidery. Just a little. It doesn't have to be much. And I've dug out a bunch of my hand spun yarn that I don't know what to do with, and I brought my Cricut up from the basement. And I'm thinking of, if I make a scarf, I'll be happy, happy, happy. Just a little spinning, a little weaving. Doesn't have to be a huge dramatic thing, but just touch it all.
Awesome. You know, I always wonder because we're craftspeople and makers. Um, do you hand make gifts for people, and if so, who gets those gifts?
Very, very few people. I used to try and make presents for everyone. I had this image of myself because I'm kind of like a mother hen, hippie mama, love everybody, want to hug everybody, that I would, make scarves and hats in big piles and always carry them with me. And anytime somebody needed one or wanted one, I would gift them one. But no, you have to, you have to earn it. It's a lot of work. And I'm a really slow knitter. My husband always was the first, and my kids. But my husband's developed an allergy to wool, believe it or not. But
my husband just turned around from his desk and he's like, what?
Yes. My son, who's 17, has yet to ask for anything. My daughter, who's 21, gets a sweater every year because she's living away from home and I miss her. And also because she only wants bulky knit sweaters.
Nice.
My oldest and dearest friend gets a pair of socks every year for her birthday because she really, really appreciates them, especially now that I started using super wash wool and she doesn't accidentally shrink them because she's not a fiber person.
Nice.
And we have family friends. You have friends in your life that are family. My kids were growing up, we talked about our blood family and our love family.
Oh yeah.
Part of our love family, because sometimes you don't get along with your blood family. You have the family that you choose. And Kate and Kirsten, I will always make them gifts. They appreciate it. I see them wearing what I make them decades later. So every couple of years, I make them stuff for Christmas.
Well, Jillian, thank you so much for taking the time to be with all of us here in this fiber world, cyber world.
I miss you all. I miss you guys so much.
I know. I think that's one of those things that is really hard. You said that I know what a hugger you are. And that's been one of the things that's been really hard for me too. So I feel for you. All right. Well, I look forward to the next time that we get to chat.
Me too. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks.
Bye.